Once upon a time, in a small village called Iko, there lived a very beautiful girl called Ife. She was well known by all the villagers because of her confidence and jovial nature. However, there was something about Ife that made some of the villagers dislike her. This was the fact that Ife was a terrible gossip who had a very bad habit of poking her nose into people's business and spreading false rumors and half-truths about the villagers. Whenever Ife came across two or more people having a conversation, she would often insert herself into the conversation without being invited and start poisoning the minds of the villagers, turning them against each other. She would whisper into their ears, sharing captivating and intriguing tales about others, which spread like wildfire among the villagers, causing hate and malice among them. She made it a hobby to poke her nose into other people's business, saying bad things about them. Do you know that Chief Ace is having an affair with that young widow, Mrs. Daniel? I saw him sneaking into her house yesterday night, looking left and right to be sure no one could see him, she would say. Ife, how did you know? What if he just went there to check up on her, someone might ask. It's not possible at that time of the night. Why didn't he go to meet her during the day? Do you even know that Chief is a thief? I saw him uprooting some yams in someone's farm yesterday. Ife, what if he was employed by the owner of the farm to harvest the crops? If that were true, why was he secretly doing it when no one was around? Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Aku, were very peaceful people and well respected in the village. They knew of their daughter's bad habits and would often advise her to change her ways and stop spreading bad rumors because of the pain and mistrust it caused among the villagers. But Ife was very stubborn and refused to listen to them. She was addicted to the attention and the feeling of importance she got when people gathered around her to listen to her gossip. Words are like broken eggs, Ife. Once they come out of the heart, they can never be fixed, her father would say. Ife, please stop spreading false rumors and stop discussing other people's business. It is very wrong to do so, her mother told her. Despite her parents' advice, Ife refused to listen. As time went on, her gossiping and false rumors became more malicious. She started spreading lies about prominent leaders, and when there was no story to tell, she would cook up lies just to get people's attention. Ife's father was a well-respected elder and part of the king's cabinet. Whenever the king had a meeting with his elders, Ife would run to her friends and begin to tell them lies about the discussions her father had with the king. This often caused confusion and chaos within the village. It didn't take long before the villagers started avoiding her and warning their children to stay away from Ife so she wouldn't poison their minds. The village elders and chiefs summoned Ife and advised her to stop spreading false rumors, but she refused to listen. One fateful day, Ife was on her way back from the market when she saw Amora, a well-known widow. Amora had lost her children and husband many years ago to a wild beast that attacked them while they were working on the farm. Ever since then, she had been staying alone at the edge of the village, mourning and grieving the loss of her family members. When Ife saw Amora, she noticed the basket Amora was carrying and saw some vegetables inside. Ife greeted Amora and then began spreading rumors about her. Do you know that old widow, Amora, is a witch? She's the one responsible for the death of her husband and children many years ago. It wasn't an ordinary beast that killed them. Amora sacrificed her husband and children in exchange for spiritual powers. That's why she doesn't live in the village like the rest of us. She picked a house at the edge of the village so no one would see her when she starts practicing, Ife said. Huh? Are you sure of what you are saying? Please mind your words before you put that old widow into trouble, someone warned her. But Ife refused to listen. She continued spreading the false rumor about Amora, telling anyone who cared to listen. Before long, the rumor spread like wildfire in the village. The villagers hated witches and had no tolerance for them. Anyone found guilty of being a witch was either buried alive or banished from the village. It didn't take long before the rumors reached the king. When the king heard this, he was very angry and furious, so he sent his guards to summon Ife to the palace. They took Ife to see the king to defend herself. A lot of questions were asked, and Ife fabricated more lies to cover up her previous stories. Despite her stories, the elders and chiefs were not satisfied with her answers. The king then sent his guards once again to summon Amora to the palace. When the palace guards got to Amora's house, they saw her cooking leaves in a very big pot. Without asking questions, they concluded that Amora must be a witch, just as Ife had said. When Amora was brought before the king, he asked her, "Ife here accused you of being a witch. She also said you are the reason behind the death of your husband and children. What do you have to say in your defense?" Amora, with grey hair and feeble bones, stood before the king. Tears welled in her eyes as she looked at Ife, who stood across from her. Ife could not meet Amora's gaze, overwhelmed by guilt. She had no idea her fabricated story about Amora would escalate this far. Initially, it was just a tale to entertain her friends, but now she had no choice but to continue fabricating lies to avoid punishment at Amora's expense. Amora took a deep breath and asked Ife with tears streaming down her face, "Did you really say I'm a witch? How did you arrive at such a wicked conclusion? What reason would I have to kill my own loving husband and my adorable children?" Ife, holding her ground, replied, "A witch has no reason to kill, it's in their blood. That's why the villagers want nothing to do with them. I saw you in the forest, wearing a red cloth. I hid and watched you as you rubbed your body with the blood of God knows what, while singing a strange song I have never heard before. You thought no one was watching, but I saw you. How else can we explain why you live all alone at the edge of the village?" "My daughter," Amora pleaded, "what offense have I committed that you would lay such a dangerous accusation on me? Have I wronged you in any way?" The villagers, who were already gathered in the palace to witness the trial, murmured among themselves, intrigued and swayed by Ife's words. The guards who had been sent to Amora's house then spoke up. "Yes, we saw her boiling charms in a small pot when we got to her house," one of them claimed. Amora, startled, tried to defend herself. "That was a herbal mixture for malaria. It was not charms." But the guards and the villagers refused to listen. Considering the suspicious circumstances surrounding the deaths of her husband and children, many believed Ife's accusations. The villagers grew enraged, yelling angrily, "Witch! Witch! Burn her! Kill her! She deserves to die! Heartless woman! Evil woman! Banish her!" The king observed the chaos unfolding in the palace and shouted, "Quiet down." He stood from his throne and called for silence. The king then looked at Amoka, who was now weeping uncontrollably, and said, "This honorable panel finds you guilty of these accusations. We have concluded that you are a witch, and you killed your husband and children. In this village, we do not tolerate witches, and there are consequences for murder. I will leave your fate for the villagers to decide." The villagers began shouting again, calling out various punishments: "Kill her! Bury her alive! Burn her at the stake! Behead her! Death by poison! Drown her!" When the noise became unbearable, the king calmed the crowd and turned to Ife. "You are the one who uncovered her evil acts. If it weren't for you, none of us would have known what and who she truly is. So I want you to decide what punishment should befall her." Ife, feeling deeply conflicted, knew she had to see it through to avoid suspicion. After thinking for a while, she said, "She's already old and has little life left. I think we should just banish her and burn down her house. There's nowhere she can go, so the beasts of the forest will kill her, just as she killed her husband and children." The king nodded in approval, and the villagers admired Ife's judgment. Amora was banished from the village. As she was led out, the villagers followed, throwing rotten food at her and shouting insults. Amora staggered down the path that led out of the village, weeping bitterly. When she reached the village entrance, she turned around with tears in her eyes. She bent down, scooped some sand into her hands, and declared, "Ife, if indeed I am a witch and I have wronged you, may you live to prosper as you grow. But if I have not wronged you, and you lied against me and banished me from my home, then for each word you speak, a part of your body will grow larger and larger until you can bear it no more." With that, Amora left the village, her heart broken. Amora's curse lingered in the air as she disappeared into the forest, leaving the villagers to return to their lives. Ife, although praised for her bravery and wisdom, felt a deep unease in her heart. She tried to brush it off and continued fabricating stories to entertain her audience and maintain her popularity. However, 1 month after Amora's banishment, Ife woke up one morning feeling unusually heavy. She noticed her legs were swollen, making it difficult to move. She screamed for help, but the more she spoke, the larger her legs became. "What is happening to me?" she asked herself in terror. It was then that she remembered Amora's curse. Her heart raced, and panic consumed her. When her parents returned from the farm, they were horrified to see Ife lying on her mat with swollen legs, arms, and a distended stomach. She was unrecognizable, her body grotesquely bloated. "Mama! Papa! I'm sorry," Ife whispered weakly, but with each word, her stomach grew even larger. Her frightened parents called for the village spiritual healer. The healer arrived, chanting incantations to consult the gods. After a while, he turned to her parents and said, "Your daughter has wronged someone grievously. Her punishment comes from the gods themselves. She must confess her sins before the entire village and right the wrongs she has done." With no other option, Ife's parents carried her to the village square. A crowd gathered, murmuring in shock and disdain at her grotesque appearance. As they stood before the villagers, Ife began to confess. She revealed the false rumors she had spread, one by one. As she confessed, some villagers realized the lies had caused unnecessary pain and division among them. Old friends reconciled, and broken relationships began to mend. Finally, Ife spoke of Amora. Her voice cracked with guilt and regret. "I lied about Amora being a witch. She was innocent. I only made up the story to entertain my friends. I never thought it would go this far. Please forgive me." The villagers were furious. "You banished an innocent widow," they cried. "You are wicked and heartless." At that moment, Ife's body swelled rapidly. Her limbs, stomach, and face grew so large that her parents could no longer support her. With one final gasp, Ife collapsed. Her body swelled until it burst, leaving behind only her skeleton. The villagers recoiled in horror, stunned into silence. The king decreed that Ife's skeleton would remain in the village square as a warning to anyone who spread false rumors. Her parents, heartbroken, spent the rest of their days warning children not to follow Ife's path of deceit and malice. This story teaches us the importance of truth and the destructive power of lies. Spreading false rumors not only harms others but also brings consequences that can destroy the fabric of a community. Be mindful of your words, avoid gossip, and always strive to tell the truth. Remember, trust is hard to build but easy to destroy. If you enjoyed this story, please make sure to click on the like button, share, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell for more sweet stories like this one.